welcome to Faith and Entertainment. Appreciate you being here. We're coming to you from the Philippines. Today's video is on the Cokeville miracle. Let's check this out. On May 16, 1986, an elementary school in the tiny town of Cokeville, Wyoming, was held hostage by a married couple with a bomb. The miraculous events that followed transformed the lives of hundreds of people, including many who witnessed angels or received heavenly help from deceased ancestors. These are the true stories behind the hit film, The Cokeville Miracle. At approximately 1:30 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, David Young and his wife Doris quietly and methodically took control of Cokeville Elementary. Wielding a homemade bomb and several guns, the Youngs took staff members hostage as they made their way to the first grade classroom. Students and teachers throughout the school were unknowingly drawn into the crisis when Doris Young went from room to room instructing them to gather in classroom 4. I felt immediately uncomfortable, recalls Amy Bagasso of Williams, who was in the 5th grade. There was nothing extraordinary about her, just something weird. With no real reason to question Doris, Williams' class made its way down to the eerily silent hallway and into the 30 by 32-foot room where the rest of the school was being held. 154 people in all. Inside stood David Young, a string detonator around his wrist and a homemade bomb by his side. Young, a former Cokeville town marshal, fired for misconduct years earlier, had returned to start a revolution and create a brave new world where he would be leader. And he demanded a ransom of $2 million per child. As he read his nonsensical manifesto, 0 equals infinity, children began to cry, including Williams. I began to wonder what happens if I die today. I don't know where to go. Will I see my family again? I was really scared for the unknown. Most of the kids in my class were LDS, but I wasn't, Williams said. I was a boat on an ocean without a sail, and there wasn't an anchor to tell me what life was about. Soon gasoline fumes from the bomb filled the hot, crowded room, making students and teachers sick and convincing Young to allow some windows to be open. He also allowed teachers to keep their classes together to help them stay calm. The hours ticked by as teachers read stories and students colored pictures and played with Legos. Some also gathered together in groups to pray. Crammon Wixom, a 6th grader, prayed with about a dozen of his fellow students. Kneeling, we bowed our heads and folded our arms. The feeling after the prayer was one of total confidence that we had just placed our lives in the hands of our loving Heavenly Father, he recalls. It was like our part was completely done, and it was just a matter of time. Williams recalls a kindergarten teacher inviting her to join the teachers and some students in prayer, an unfamiliar concept for a 5th grader. I told her I didn't know how to pray, she said. The teacher said, "You don't have to know how," so I crawled over and folded my arms and bowed my head. I don't remember much of what she said, but I remember suddenly feeling like I had a warm blanket around my shoulders, this incredible amount of comfort and joy that I can't explain. I knew that in my heart that I would be okay no matter what happened. Another 5th grader, Lori Nate Conger, also prayed with some of her classmates. I remember thinking, David Young can control a lot of things, but he can't keep us from praying. It's one thing he cannot do, she said. Young grew increasingly agitated as the afternoon wore on. In an effort to keep the children away from him, teachers used masking tape to create a magic square around the bomb and then instructed the children to stay outside of it. Eventually, Young stepped away to the restroom, leaving the bomb detonator tied to Doris' wrist. And while he was gone, the unthinkable happened, and Doris accidentally jerked the string and the bomb exploded. It was an explosion that I can't explain, a total instant black, the kind of black that you can't see anything. There was Katie Walker Payne, who was a 1st grade student at the time. I felt compression and heat like nothing I'd ever experienced. I heard teachers screaming for everyone to get down. I looked in the center of the room, and all I could see was fire. There were flames all over the room, and children screaming. Just pandemonium, recalls Carol Peterson, a 2nd grader, a teacher at the time. Another teacher was trying to help me escape. I said, "I don't know where my children are. I can't leave." But he yelled, "Get out, get out." The children and teachers escaped through windows in the classroom door. Williams recalls, when I got to the hallway, I felt a tickling sensation on my shoulder and ear, and I took a few steps and started feeling heat on my skin, and I realized I was on fire. She dropped to the floor and started rolling to put out the flames. Soon 2 teachers ran to her aid and slapped the flames out with their bare hands. Then they picked me up and told me to run, she said. As the children escaped, David Young began firing a gun inside the smoke-filled classroom. Outside, the music teacher, John Miller, lay on the ground, his white shirt soaked in a dark red blood. None of the children were hit, but Miller was shot in the back as he had helped others out of the burning building. He would later recover. Frantic parents gathered behind police barricades, cried out for their children as police officers ran toward the school. Ambulances, fire trucks, new cameras lined the streets. I saw bodies all over the lawn, and I didn't know if they were dead or alive, recalled Conger. Everyone was just so black that you couldn't recognize anyone. Some kids were badly burned, with skin hanging off their arms and neck. I didn't even know where to go or what to do, Conger continues. I found my old brother pretty quickly, and we just started walking toward our home. Then I saw my mom running down the street, and I'll never forget that reunion when she ran toward us and wrapped us in her arms. For the first time, I remember thinking, I'm safe. It's something I'll never forget. Despite the explosion, all the students and the staff made it out alive. Only David Young and his wife perished. David, upon finding Doris engulfed in flames after the explosion, shot her before taking his own life. Ron Hartley, lead investigator for the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, had 4 children who survived the bombing. When he arrived at the scene, he was immediately told that the physical evidence didn't add up. I met the bomb tech right there at the door, he said. Hartley, what you have here is a miracle. That bomb should have leveled the wing of this school, but it looks like the bomb blast went straight up, and I don't know why. I can't explain it. In the days after the bombing, more astonishing evidence came to light. Investigators discovered that wires to 3 of the bomb's blasting caps had been mysteriously cut, preventing detonation. Furthermore, the explosive powder that would have lit the air on fire had been miraculously hindered from its deadly purpose thanks to the leaking gasoline. And though the walls were pocked from shrapnel, and no one was hit by any of it. Everybody kept saying, isn't this a miracle? But I took it as a luck, said Hartley. His perspective changed dramatically a couple weeks later when his 6-year-old son confided in psychologists that he had seen angels on the day of the bombing. I came home with the intent of factually proving to him that he couldn't have seen angels, Hartley recalls. I asked him who he saw, and he said, I don't know. She didn't tell me her name, but I think it was Grandma Meister. So it's exactly what I was looking for. I told him it wasn't Grandma Meister because she's alive and living in Pinedale. But the young boy insisted that his story was true. That's when Hartley asked his wife to get out the family photo album. We put it on a table right in front of him, and I started flipping through the pages, and I flipped to one page when suddenly he put his little hand on a photo and just beamed, Hartley shared. When you do interrogations in law enforcement, you watch body language. You can tell through physical reaction when someone is lying and when they're not, he continues. When my son saw that picture, he just brightened up and said, that's her. That's my angel. And it wasn't Grandma Meister. It was my Grandma Elliott. How do you argue that? She's been dead for 3 or 4 years. Hartley's son told him there were angels for everyone in that room, and just prior to detonation, the angels joined hands around the bomb and went up through the ceiling with the explosion. When he said that, it lined up the physical evidence that, in addition to the fact that he picked out Grandma Elliott as evidence, I can't deny, he said. Other children also gave accounts of heavenly intervention, and in months after the bombing, more of them were able to identify ancestors who helped keep them safe the day of the crisis. And if you have not seen the movie, you need to see the movie. It's an incredible movie as well. So check that out. I went into a bit more detail than I probably should have because this took so long, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day. God bless you, and I'm praying for you.